Hello and welcome to the Global Dialogue. I'm Shereen Bhan and it is my pleasure to welcome on the program the CEO of Google Cloud, Thomas Kurian. Thomas, thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the program. Let me start by asking you about the outlook, Thomas. The second straight quarter that Google Cloud has posted profit. And I want to understand from you what the trajectory looks like in the current context, given the macroeconomic headwinds.
We continue to see customers looking long-term at how technology can help them improve the efficiency of their companies, adopt our new innovations in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and analytics, and build for the future. So we continue to work with lots of clients, and I'm actually here in India meeting clients.
I will talk to you about the India clients in just a second, but is there nervousness? Do you foresee any differences in the way that enterprises are going to spend at this point in time? Because that's what we're hearing from many CEOs in terms of tech spending. Is that something that you are picking up on at this point? What's the expectation?
We've seen technology spending, there's uncertainty in the economy globally, and so the people look at that and try to make decisions on where do they want to slow down some spending, but also we've seen customers get real value from a number of projects that they're doing, and they see them as accelerating either growth of their top line or improving the efficiency of their organization. And so the overall rate at which it's sort of, you see growth on one side, and then there's also controlled spending on the other. And depending on which country or geography you're in, you see different rates in these two different factors.
Okay, so let's talk about the geography that you are in, and this is India, and of course it is a priority market as far as Google is concerned. Take me through what you are seeing in India today in terms of client addition. What does the current client roster look like? What are people wanting to spend on? How much do they want to spend?
We have a great client base across almost every industry: retail, manufacturing, financial institutions, telecommunications, education, as well as a huge network of startups using our platform, Google Cloud, to do a variety of different things. We're also seeing both growth in the existing customer base with more people taking on more projects and expanding investments in newer areas. We have a huge number of organizations trying new things which are in the area of artificial intelligence using our platform, experimenting with new tools to build new applications, modernize their legacy systems. But we're also seeing expansion of our client base because of the advances we're introducing in cyber, in AI, in analytics. We're attracting a lot of new clients as well.
Are there any specific sectors, any specific verticals that you believe you have the capabilities, or already on the back of the client roster that you enjoy, that you have the expertise to focus on? Globally, if I were to take a look at your client roster from SpaceX to Home Depot, but in India, would there be any specific sectors or verticals that you intend to focus on?
We have deep partnerships with Reliance Jio and Bharti Airtel in telecommunications, in financial institutions, HDFC, ICICI, the Federal Bank, and many other fintechs. We have a lot of work going on in healthcare. In fact, we have an important announcement with the Apollo Group of hospitals. Manipal is also a client of ours. And then in retail, we have many clients from Flipkart to Reliance to a number of others. So across these industries, we're serving some of the leading organizations in India, and we're also working with many startups. Glance, for example, in the digital startup space, has done a lot of work with us, optimizing their applications and infrastructure on our cloud.
And again, I'll come back and revisit startups and AI-specific startups in just a second, but just to continue with the India conversation. So what is the kind of growth that you see in India today on the back of the business that you enjoy, but also on the back of the competitive landscape here? And what's the aspiration and the expectation of what India will contribute to revenue?
Just globally, our cloud business, Google's cloud business, just by itself, is now one of the top 5 enterprise software companies in the entire world. And so it's a very large business. When we started just 4 years ago, it was an extremely small business. And most other companies in enterprise software have been around for 20, 30, 40 years. So in just 4 years, we built one of the largest enterprise software companies in the world. Now, if you look globally, Asia Pacific, from a GDP point of view, is about 35% of the world's GDP. So we do expect over time cloud spending to look similar to the GDP, because technology is increasingly a part of almost every industrial sector. And so we would estimate it's proportionate to GDP. India is by far our largest market in Asia Pacific, and it's growing also one of the fastest globally. So a lot of positive indicators for the work we're doing in India. We have an engineering organization here, we have a go-to-market organization here, and we have all of our client-facing functions, from sales to customer engineering to professional services, as well as we do work with a wide network of local partners, from TCS to Infosys to HCL Tech to Wipro. So we have many, many local partners working with us as well.
Yeah, I know it's hard to get a country-wise or region-wise breakup, but I'm nevertheless going to try and ask you to give us a little bit more color on growth in India, because as you pointed out, the tech spending on cloud specifically is going to be linked to the growth of the economy, assuming that the Indian economy grows at 7%, which is the current rate of growth, and that's expected to continue. What is the share that you hope to extract from India over the next few years?
Well, globally, we've outpaced the market for 16 quarters in a row. So for 4 years in a row, we have beaten the market globally. Our numbers are public growth rates. Our numbers are public. We're growing north of 28% historically. And India has beaten the average growth rate that we're seeing globally by at least 5 points. So, we've seen strong growth in India for many, many years, and it's a testament to both the economic development of India, the maturation of a variety of different sectors of the economy, and the work that we've been able to do to capture, some of the largest companies in India and build deep partnerships with them.
Mm-hmm. So, from an innovation point of view and from a talent perspective, both those important for companies operating in India, including, of course, Google, what is that going to mean in terms of hiring plans, especially on the engineering side?
Well, we've grown our own presence in India from an engineering point of view. It's one of our largest locations globally. We have multiple engineering centers in India. We have 3 large ones, and we're opening a 4th, and we have a lot of different functions represented here in India. From a product line point of view, across our cloud organization, we have our knowledge and insights team. Google Search has a team here. So we have a variety of different engineering teams that have strong presence locally, and you will see us continue to expand locally in India.
Okay. Are you going to leave us with a number in terms of what the headcount addition could possibly look like?
We typically don't project forward because it's important. I think the best way we always tell people is, if you look at our track record, how fast we've grown our engineering teams in India, that's the best indication of the values we see in the engineering teams here and the skills we find here, and our commitment to building a long-term engineering presence in India.
That's as far as people is concerned, but given the opportunities that you see here in India, and you've already leased a fairly large space in Navi Mumbai, from a data center point of view, what could we expect over the next few years?
We've expanded our locations both in Mumbai and New Delhi. We've also made public announcement that we're building a large location as well for our services. Given all of our investments in machine learning and artificial intelligence, which also require entire new classes of infrastructure, you will see us continue to expand our footprint, both in terms of the locations we're in, but also potentially going to other locations.
Okay, let's talk now about the big story globally that's playing out for just about every tech company, including yours, and that is Gen AI. And this was really the centerpiece of the Google Next Summit as well, Cloud Summit as well. I want to understand from you what the roadmap looks like over the next few years as you try and bite into this opportunity.
So generative AI, Google has been working on AI for 20 years. We've introduced a variety of different AI products. But when we look at generative AI, we're introducing essentially 4 classes of new products. The first thing we're doing is providing companies that want to build their own models a great infrastructure consisting of a variety of new types of accelerator chips available through our cloud regions. We're very fortunate that 50% of all startups ever funded in AI and 70% of all AI unicorns use our infrastructure to do exactly this. The second,
why do you think that's the case? Because you've been around for 4 years versus the legacy that your competitors have had for almost 2 decades now. Why do you believe 70% of the AI unicorns are using Google Cloud?
Because we have the best technology. Just to give you a sense, if you train a model on our infrastructure, it trains at 2x, 2 times the cost, performance, throughput you need. Meaning, in other words, if you're building a large model, you spend either half the money or half the time or both to do it on our infrastructure that you do on others. So one piece that we offer is world-class infrastructure. The second piece is a set of development tools for anybody in any department, whether that's marketing, sales, customer service, human resources, to build AI-powered applications. And we are seeing this spread across all the industries. It maintains the privacy of people's data and segregates it while giving them all the advanced services that Google uses to build AI. Third, we've introduced a new capability called Duet. Think of Duet as a real-time collaborator when you're working with our AI systems. So if you're running a video conference, our AI system Duet can record the conference, can summarize it, can assign action items, can help people who are late to a conference catch up on things, and can even do simultaneous translation. So that's a set of capability that's enormously interesting to people who want to use AI. So we give AI builders, AI developers, and AI end users capability. Lastly, we've introduced AI across our consumer portfolio. And when I say consumer portfolio, our search generative experience, for example, has seen enormous interest from customers and has had great feedback for us. So we're bringing generative AI to the entire Google portfolio.
Okay, so are we likely to see more tools being introduced over the next few months, years? What is the roadmap that we should expect realistically?
For sure, you'll see more capabilities, more models, more tools, and more capabilities in our platform. And we're introducing them at a faster rate, but also making them so much easier to do. For instance, if you think of Google, what we did as a consumer company years ago was simplify the internet by making you simply use a search box and you could navigate the entire internet and find the information you want. What we're doing with AI is simplifying AI by making it as easy as if you can chat with the system using messaging, you can explore all the power of our AI. And so we're making it really easy for people to use AI. You will see us continue to accelerate bringing new models, new capabilities, and new tools to everybody around the world.
You said the word, I didn't, but since you did, so ChatGPT, do you believe that stole a little bit of the thunder?
ChatGPT may have been the first one out, but if you notice, our search continues to be the leader despite all the statements, and we've introduced more new products in the last 6 months than any other vendor in the market based on AI. And so we're very confident about our future.
confident about the future, but you talked about capabilities. How much of this is going to also be driven by inorganic acquisition of capabilities that has been part of the strategy over the last 4 years of Google Cloud's journey? There has been significant investments made both on headcount as well as M&A. Is that going to continue to be part of the strategy going forward?
We've made acquisitions, 2 of them notably. One is Looker, which was an analytical tool. The second is Mandiant, who are the world leaders in cyber intelligence. When we make them very thoughtfully, and we do it in an area that complements our strategy. So when we got into cybersecurity, we said that for people to do cybersecurity well, we had the tools that allowed people to understand if they'd been compromised and how to prevent that compromise. But we needed the threat intelligence, the understanding of what are the new threats that are happening around the world. And Mandiant were the world leaders on that. So we made that acquisition to complement and deliver. I can tell you where the threats are that you need to protect yourself, and I'm giving you the tools to do that. So whenever we do it, it's done very thoughtfully based on opportunities we find to complement our portfolio. And we're not saying we will do acquisitions, we're not saying we won't, but it's always got to have a rationale.
If you were to look at opportunities at this point in time, as well as perhaps gaps that you would like to plug, anything specific that you're looking at today?
I think you've seen us, strategically bring AI to the whole portfolio, from the way that people use our tools. For example, if you're a developer, you can now just chat to the system and have it generate the application that you wanted to write. If you're somebody operating the cloud, you can ask the system in plain English or in a variety of other languages. You can say, I want it to operate with this kind of reliability and this kind of latency, and the system will automatically configure itself to do that. If you want to do analysis, we always joke that CEOs typically don't go to dashboards. So how do you make analysis simple? We've provided through our AI-powered tools the ability to ask in simple questions, what's happening to revenue in my company? The system will do the analysis. It will tell you not only what's happening to revenue, but why it changed, generate a narration for you, and create the slide deck. Think of that. And so these are capabilities that we've introduced across the suite. If we find complementary reasons where we find that there's some great new technology out there, we're not ruling out that we won't acquire, but we're not saying we need acquisitions to fill any gaps in our portfolio.
So what is the system telling you today about your own revenue? You said that in Q2 you're up 28% year on year. Given the growth trajectory that you anticipate, what's the aspiration in terms of what this business could look like in revenue over the next few years?
Well, we're the 5th largest enterprise software company in the world in just 4 years. There's 4 places to go.
But it hasn't been an easy 4 years, has it, Thomas? In fact, I remember in a conversation that you had with a colleague of mine at CNBC, you said that it's been a difficult 4 years because you didn't have the head start, and it was a consumer company that needed to look at enterprise, and that's been a large part of the journey that you've had to cover. So given the distance that you've covered so far, what do you think needs to be prioritized today as you close ranks in on the top 4?
We're continuing to see, the first 4 years, we were very busy building a world-class product portfolio and a world-class go-to-market organization. I think when we talk to our clients, when we look around the world, people say we've accomplished that. So now, as we look forward, you will see us continue to expand the go-to-market organization, expanding to many new industries, expanding our presence in different markets around the world, expanding geographically to many more countries. And in the same time, you will also see us continuing to expand up our product portfolio. And that combination, when done right, has been the reason for our success to date and will continue to be the reason for our success in the future. People choose to partner with Google And thousands of large companies are doing that today, including many of the largest companies here in India, because of the expertise we bring from engineering and the creativity of our people in helping them solve problems with technology, and you'll see us continue to do that.
You know, you talked about partnership, and I want to get your thoughts on something that I know you've been a big believer in, and you've sort of tried to create that ecosystem, an open, integrated ecosystem. How critical is this going to be as we look at, you know, the future in terms of AI, the kind of fast transformative changes that we are seeing happen in this space? How crucial will it be to be able to forge these kind of partnerships, this kind of collaboration between large tech as well as you know, small and mid-tier companies?
Well, just last week at our conference, we announced partnerships with a broad ecosystem of partners around AI. So we announced partnerships with software as a service companies who were adopting our AI inside their applications. For example, with Workday in human resources and human capital management and ERP, as well as with SAP, Box, and a variety of others. Second, we announced partnerships with data providers who have unique data sets that they want to make available to customers to use for AI. We announced, for example, a partnership with Bloomberg, with Dun & Bradstreet in financial services, for example. So that's a second example. Third, we announced partnerships. We have some of the world's largest global system integrators and consultancies working with us, including several that are based here in India: Cognizant, Infosys, Wipro, TCS, HCL Tech. They've committed to train 150,000 people on our generative AI tools. And the reason we are working in close partnership with all of them is to make sure that customers can find solutions. A customer wants to use technology to solve a business problem. The ecosystem works really well with us. We have the cleanest partnership structure because we don't have our own services organization that competes with partners unlike other companies do. And so it makes it much easier for partners to work well with us. And we've heard that feedback consistently from the partners, and they've been a huge part of our success over the last several years.
Well, yes, I would imagine that that is what you intend to focus more and more on as you amplify the success that you've seen in the last few years. But Thomas, you know, I want to understand from you, from your vantage point today, as we look at the changes, especially on account of generative AI, and just about every CEO in the tech space that we've spoken to has said essentially that this is nothing like they've seen in the past. While we've seen many disruptions and many changes, the pace of this and the impact of this is nothing like they've seen before. Would you agree with that? What do you believe are the pitfalls that we need to be mindful of, be concerned about, as well as we, of course, focus on the big opportunities?
The pace of change definitely is much faster, and part of the reason is that change is happening in every business function. We have people using our generative AI platform in marketing, for example, to create advertising, in customer service, to answer customer questions, in procurement, to make sure they write contracts that make sense, in legal departments, to discover legal obligations that they may not be aware of, and even in human resources, to help them write better, job posts, to hire the right people. So the fact that it's no longer a technology prerogative, but it's gone to all the business functions in an organization, tells you why it's speeding up so much. Now, on the opposite side, we're also focused a lot on making sure that as we bring this technology, we're responsible and we're helping people address some of the concerns. Some examples. People are worried about when a model, what they call a generative AI model, answers a question. There have been many stories about these models hallucinating.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure your answers are mirrored in data? And we introduced a new capability called grounding that says when a model answers a question, you can ask it to cite the sources it used, and you can also compare them against web results from, for example, Google search to make sure those results are factual. If you have a model generated image.
Okay.
Many advertising and marketing organizations talk to us saying, I need to know that whether an image has been generated by a model because it can't be copyrighted versus not generated by a model, or for example, a human took a photograph. And we've introduced a technology last week called watermarking that allows you to be able to tell if a model generated an image. And you'll see that with other media. Lastly, if you're in a customer-facing function,
right,
you want to avoid a model, for example, speaking in a harsh tone or abusive language. When it generates an image, you don't want a model generate a violent image if you're putting in front of children, for example. And our platform has all the controls to protect against all that. So part of the reason so many customers, just last week we had 38 companies announce big partnerships with us on generative AI, all the way from banks to quick serve restaurants to hotels to hospitals. Part of the reason they're doing that is because our platform gives them all these controls.
So you're saying that, are you then a believer in saying we need to slow this down by putting a stop on what's going on for whatever it is, the next 6 months, 8 months, 12 months? I mean, the ask is 6, but we don't think that anything's moved on that front. Or do you believe that companies just need to, as you just gave us examples of, have to go out there and put tools in place to ensure that the guardrails are set up?
We've said publicly that AI is a technology. In order to solve how it's used and to make sure you're providing the right responsibility and controls, you have to invent technology solutions to a technology. And so that's what we're doing. We've also said that we're working with many governments to discuss what they want as policy to govern the use of AI. But you will see us continue to introduce new technology solutions to these important problems because, for example, if you wanted to tell if an image has been generated or a piece of content has been generated by AI, you do need a solution to watermark it and watermark it indelibly so that it can't be compromised. And we're actually testing this new solution. That's a practical example of something we've introduced to try and solve some of these problems.
So let me end by asking you, what are you most excited when we speak of India? You talked about some of the plans that you have and some of the new clients that you're adding to your roster here, but what makes you feel most confident and most excited about the strength of the market here today?
I mean, coming back home to India, I always marvel at the energy of the people, the vitality of the economy, the enthusiasm of particularly the younger people entering the job market. We think all those have long-term potential, and the diversification of India's economy into more sectors, the growth we're seeing in different parts of the economy, all those for us are extraordinarily exciting, and we see technology increasingly being adopted in such a profound way by so many Indian companies. It's a privilege to work with them. Our organization here is just thrilled to have a chance to work with so many leading companies here in India, including the new startup ecosystem that's growing so quickly here. And it's a privilege for us to be here and to share some time with them.
Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. We wish you the very best of luck and appreciate your time here on the Global Dialogue. Have a good rest of your trip here in India.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of the Global Dialogue. From all of us here on the team, for now, goodbye and many thanks for watching.